In this video, we will successfully install Windows NT 4.0 on this Gen 1 Compaq Proliant enterprise server from the year 2000, something I've been trying to accomplish for days now. Once the install feels nice and snappy, we'll try to get some Token Ring gear in this thing and get it hooked up to a Token Ring network. I'd eventually like to use it as a bridge between my Token Ring gear and a retro home lab Ethernet network to get the Token Ring machines on the internet. Installing this 3COM Token Ring PCI card will, of course, utterly destroy the Windows NT 4.0 install. Let's get into it. Back with another episode of Messing Around with Computers. I have been trying to get Windows NT 4.0 from 1996 installed on this Compaq Proliant DL-380 Gen 1 enterprise rack-mountable server from the year 2000. But I have not had any luck. I will briefly sum up my attempts from a prior video, and then we're going to get back at it here. Started by simply partitioning and formatting the drive that was already in there in its current state. Didn't work. NT could never see them. Loaded up Compaq Smart Start, the utility used to configure and administer these early Compaqs, and no luck. I followed some very precise official instructions, and I couldn't ever get the NT 4.0 installer to see the drive. There is a point at which you install additional drivers. In theory, I should be installing additional SCSI controller drivers specific to this machine so that the NT 4.0 installer can see the hard drives in the bay on the front here. And theoretically, with the right drivers, the NT install media should be able to see them. By and large, the consensus in the feedback from that video was to install more drivers. You can repeatedly press S to choose more. Unfortunately, that didn't work. The integrated smart array driver, the SCSI controller I'm using right now, is the only driver the NT installer will recognize as being valid. The more generic sounding ones won't install, they don't make a difference. Well, a viewer named Jim reached out and provided a very detailed list of steps to try out, slightly different than anything I had tried prior. I, of course, have not followed those exactly yet. We'll follow them to the T if needed, but I have been given a glimmer of hope. I've got the 3 Windows NT floppy boot disks. Here, you can actually run the NT installer in such a way that it'll create these disks for you. In my case, I just ran it off the Windows NT 4.0 install media I have. You run it with the /OX flag. This lets you, of course, start the installation from Floppy, the same way you would with, say, a Windows 95 boot disk. And would you believe it? The installer is at least implying it might be able to see my hard drive. It complains about not liking the fact that the drive has more than 1024 cylinders, the background of which is a tale for another time, but we're going to try it anyway. So I got to that point last night where booting from Floppy was implying it could see the hard drive, and it was asking for the Windows NT disk, and then this CD-ROM stopped working. This thing has this odd failure mode where it'll just start seeking the disk constantly. You can hear it really banging away in there, and you know it's not going to work anymore. And the only way to fix it is to restart the whole machine and redo everything. I think it's a culmination of factors. Age, this thing's just getting old. I've cleaned the lens and all that, but maybe it needs some new grease or something. It's getting confused. And I think probably it just doesn't really like reading burned disks all that much. But I have seen it fail with official disks as well, so I'm not sure. We're going to try all that over again and get to that point that hopefully we can throw this disk in and install this friggin' operating system. Got this fresh IBM keyboard for good luck. I'm going to boot this thing from the first NT floppy disk, and when I come back I'll tell you how long it takes for me to get to the point where via floppy disk I'm ready to install those drivers I was talking about. It takes about 6 minutes to get to this point where you can actually start the installer. You gotta switch a disk so you can't really walk away. So that doesn't sound like a lot, but just to experiment with one thing, it's a minimum of 6 minutes to get to here. And the NT installer loves to kick you out when it thinks something's wrong. Doesn't kind of let you go back and fix a mistake. Let's click enter. And what it's saying is it's going to go off and try to find mass media. So CD-ROM drives, SCSI adapters. So I'm going to press enter, and it's going to go off. Oh, excuse me. It wants the third disk, so we'll swap that in there real quick. It's done. It went off and automatically found the CD-ROM, this IDE CD-ROM, but doesn't know about hard drives. I'm going to click S, and at this point I can insert another disk, and that disk will be this one with a bunch of the SCSI controller drivers that the Smart Start CD automatically made for me, and we'll get that in there. This really takes you back. Okay, other, it's in there. I am using the integrated smart array controller on this DL-380. a bunch of folks recommended hit S again, take a look, and put these more generic ones on there, like the compact drive array for Windows NT 4. But check this out. I've tried all of these, by the way. It's just not going to work. There. It says that thing's not installed on your computer, and it's one of the rare occasions where you don't have to start the entire process over again. Just to show you, the install media comes with this generic sounding compact drive array driver. The installer says it doesn't exist. So at this point, when I press enter to continue previously, it would not find any hard drives when I booted from the Windows NT 4.0 CD-ROM. We're booted from the floppy disks this time. Press enter. Okay, gotta throw my setup disk back in, that's fine. You can see it's loading some device drivers at the bottom there. In my previous attempts, it would just bail right away, say, I don't see your disk. Now, however, it's complaining that it sees a hard disk and it's got more than 1,024 cylinders. This could be a whole video by itself. My understanding, I have two understandings. One is that this won't work at all, and the second one is that it will, but it could cause you problems later. And the installer itself says this does not necessarily indicate an error condition. So we're just going to try it before I dig up another hard drive. This certainly implies to me that it thinks it could find a hard drive, though. So press enter. It's just warning me that the hard disk is either erased or has an OS on it already. I'm going to press C to continue. And now it wants the CD-ROM. It takes a solid 15 or so minutes to get yourself to this point. And this is where I got stuck last night because this CD-ROM drive kind of gave up on me. I'm going to put this in, and hopefully the CD is happy. I can kind of hear it seeking, not as aggressively as it does when it's in this error state. A few moments later, please wait at the bottom there. CD's doing something, hopefully. Well, here we go. This is what I was getting last night. The disk or CD-ROM you inserted may be damaged. The simplest thing to do is I'm just going to burn another one. Maybe this one got damaged as I was kind of experimenting. And if that doesn't work, we'll get another. We'll start all that over again, and we'll put a new CD-ROM in here. Okay, I'm back. I burnt this at a nice, slow speed. Sometimes that helps. Whoa! It loaded a license agreement. Page down all the way, I guess. I agree. Yes. That's all fine. I thought I was going to format the hard drive. There we go, look at that. Unpartitioned space. It's an 8 gig disk. It's confused and sees that one partition. What do we want to do here? That's a 1024 partition. I think that's fine. I'm just going to put it there. 2048 is all the NT can boot from anyway, I think. We're going to use NTFS. I believe that should be just fine here. That was quick. It's going to copy the install media to the hard disk. I'm not going to be letting it examine my drives. I can't even believe it can see them. Compaq support pack for Microsoft. So, man. It wants one of the Smart Start CDs. I'm just kind of hoping it's this one. Or I'm going to have to start that Smart Start process over again. Oh no. There's this little diskette builder thing in the Smart Start CD. I'm almost positive this is one of them, but let's see. Hopefully that disk number 1 is just one of them. It seems to be happy enough about it. I do not like this. Setup is almost done copying the files. So I'm supposed to remove the floppy disk and the CD-ROM. I almost can't even be excited. I've been burned so many times by this machine. Let's get that out of there. Come on. Get that out of there. Get the old good luck keyboard. Press enter to restart. This is what it looks like when it's booting up. Finds the processors. And then we've got the integrated smart array controller initializing. Escape to skip any setup options. Alright, F1. And we should be booted into some sort of Windows NT installer that's on the disk. Blinking cursor's good. Oh, god damn it. I think we gotta go back to Smart Start. Yeah, maybe there's like a boot order thing we can look at. I'm not sure. Our old friend. I just did all of that over again. And I mean everything. I reset the computer with Smart Start. And I'm going to make 2 changes. I put a new hard drive in. Pulled this old 9 gig out. Got an 18 gig in there now. And Smart Start apparently made this EISA utilities area partition. I'm going to make a 2048 partition here. It is my understanding that is the most you can use for an install. So right there, new unformatted 2048. I would like to install it there. We'll use NTFS again. It's my understanding that that should work. Okay. As part of that total reset, I did make a new set of support disks. I have 5 of them now. You can see it's asking for server support disk number 2. Incidentally, I made 5 fresh disks as part of the Smart Start setup this time. Disk number 2 is how I was loading my integrated array controller driver, so this does make sense, I think. I'm going to put that in. It's actually kind of hard to push these disks in. You really got to get in there, get them to click, and you got to do this a lot, so that's kind of annoying. This went fine last time, but no, it said something else. It called that something different. I'm almost positive. So maybe I had mixed up my Smart Start CDs. Maybe I had made those prior discs with the new version of Smart Start. Anyway, we'll see. It's going to go off again and copy media from the CD-ROM to the hard drive. And I'll pull everything out and reboot. It's asking me to pull everything out. We shall see. The moment of truth. Try to boot from the hard drive. Oh my god. Is this really going to happen? Did you see how I had 0 seconds to choose my option there? Oh, please. Please. It sees 2 system processors. That's promising. Oh, wow. We have not installed Windows NT at this point, by the way. Ridiculous. It's doing something. I think it just rebooted. It rebooted. We're going to try to load from the disk again. Yeah, look at that. You get 0 seconds to choose between NT4 and VGA mode. I mean, this means the hard drive's working, right? We have a chance? I always did kind of like this weird blue screen that NT uses. Does Windows 2000 use this one too? I don't remember. What? No way, guys. Oh my god. I'm not joking when I'm saying it's been like 40 hours of work to get to this point. Okay, once the install media again. Disk is in there. It's just spinning up slowly, I think. There we go. Oh man. I don't even know what to say. Okay. I installed NT once in a VM, I think. The important part for our use case is I think I have to specify a domain controller. Oh, Collab Retro Enterprises. Let me go find one of these. This is fun. Should I license per server or per seat? You know, I just can't quite remember what I bought from Microsoft. I'll tell you what, I do not like that concurrent connection business. I'm going to do per seat and hope that I can really just muck around with that if I ever need to. Computer name? Oh no. DL-380. 1. I have 2 of these. Oh yeah, server type. Primary domain controller. That's exactly what this thing is. I gotta back up my games, dude. Someone was telling me that if it asked me for like a NIC, NIC network interface driver, just deal with that later. Otherwise it'll confuse the setup. I am a wired network for now. Oh yeah, see, we're gonna have so much fun to install Internet Information Server. Definitely need that. Let's see. Oh, it thinks it knows about my NIC. That's nice. That's interesting. TCP IP by default at this point. We're gonna need all of that. Oh yeah. There we go. After it installs the NIC, it lets me configure it, I guess. I'm gonna leave that. Windows NT did not have plug and play like Windows 95, so it's a little more involved, kind of like the old days to set up your hardware. I'm not going to use DHCP at the moment. Once an IP address right out the gate, we will be doing all sorts of fun stuff with this thing, with Windows name server, DHCP, routing. You can turn these things into routers. Oh, I hope this just keeps working. Hopefully I don't regret any of this. All right, we are going to name the domain. Very clever. Wow. Come on, baby. Come on. Okay. We have blue screened. That's probably fine. IRQL not less or equal. Okay. I wonder if that is something to do with the network interface. Interesting. It says restart and set the recovery options in the system control panel. I'm just going to restart. I don't think there's anything I can do other than hope for the best. Look at that. I get a chance to choose now. Anyway, let's see how far along it thinks its install is. Probably flew too close to the sun putting that NIC in there. Hopefully we got far enough along that it can boot and we can fix something. Inaccessible boot device? Oh my gosh. Why would that be? I'm going to press spacebar now. Oh, hopefully. To invoke that last known good thing. I don't know if that makes a difference. Probably going to have to start this install over. Amazingly, that seems to have done something, I guess. I think I'm starting over. So what I'm going to do is all of that over again. And I'm not going to install the network drivers, if that makes sense. That thing was complaining about IRQs something or other, so I am not going to mess with that. Actually, it won't let me proceed without a network adapter. Yeah, if I can't skip like this whole network thing, even if I I can uncheck that or whatever. Just kidding. No, I can't. Well, let's just run through again, I guess. My driver disks don't have any drivers for this, when I do it custom. Let's keep things like really stock configuration. I'm not going to do any custom stuff. So I have to imagine it's the interrupt this is at. The OS isn't liking it. This is just configuration of the card itself. What's test do? Could be something else, I suppose. It thinks the NIC is physically healthy. Of course, it failed its network test. It's not plugged in. Okay. I am going to go back to DHCP, even though it's not connected. And do you think maybe one of these caused a problem? Wonder if we'll have any better luck by changing approximately nothing. I don't think I got this far last time. Yeah, let's just put everything on defaults, server stuff, totally fine. Do I dare? I'm not gonna mess with this yet. We're just gonna leave this. Come on, baby. We're getting really close. Come on. Wants me to make the emergency floppy disk. That's fine. It says remove all the media. NT 4.0 has been installed successfully. The final test. Restart the computer, and I should be able to log in as the administrator. Did you see that? We were close. IRQL not less or equal. Complain about ntfs.sys. Oh man. Beginning dump of physical memory. Reboot. No blue screen, but we still get this. Config.sys is corrupt and unreadable, which seems very bad. This wants me to run check disk. Is it gonna let us in to do that? Oh, at least one service or driver failed during system startup. Okay. It's probably okay. We're out of virtual memory. Okay. We're still running. A lot more resilient than Windows 95 was. Let's see if we can get in. I don't know. Seems like that took longer than it ought to have. He's doing it. Come on, baby. I guess we're here. We might have an insanely unstable install, but I mean, we made it. Windows NT. Oh, it's kind of slow. I wonder if it does some like initial stuff when it starts up those services for the first time. Beautiful site either way. Yeah, it's a little slow. Got everything I thought I would there. Does this do the check disk? Yes. Let's see. Oh, yeah. That's what you want to see. I can't even finish. All right, well, I think we're good. Let's shut it down for a little while. It is pretty slow. I suppose it's shutting down all those services I installed. One of those services could be the culprit. I haven't used Windows NT a lot, so I don't know how long shutdown usually takes, but it seems very slow to talk to the disk. Well, I've been playing around with this thing for a little bit, and I can confirm it is a computer with Windows NT 4.0 installed. It ran check disk all on its own the first time I restarted it after those errors. And, you know, it seems okay. You know how you just get a feeling about a Windows install and you're like, you know, I don't trust this thing. Let's get in here. It's a lot snappier than the last time I ran it. Maybe check disk did, okay. A service or driver failed during system startup. Let's just do our first bit of administration here, shall we? So we've got all the admin tools, and there should be just like a vent viewer. Let's take a look. Yeah, of course, it's not happy with that Intel NIC. Okay, that's fine. Like I was saying, this early version of Windows NT, or maybe all Windows NT, it's kind of weird if you're coming from the 95, 98 world like I am. There isn't a device manager. So, you know, what do you even do? I don't even know how to use this thing. We'll deal with that later. It'd be funny if it's just complaining because it's like not on the network. Doesn't give you a whole lot of information here. As you can see though, it does seem quite a bit snappier now, which I'm enjoying. Got this user manager for domains. Yeah, it's not gonna let me do a lot because I'm not on the network, but someday. The blue screening and all the troubles I had and the instability, well, a lot of my troubles were I just wasn't following things in the right order, but all that clunkiness you saw during the startup and the install, the actual install with the blue screens, could be a bunch of stuff. Some of this hardware could just slowly kind of be going bad. You know, the memory, I don't know, in mysterious and inconsistent ways. That 1024 disk cylinder thing, I suspect it's going to come back to haunt us. I'm running Windows NT 4.0 Service Pack 1, which by all accounts was kind of bad. I think they went all the way up to Service Pack 6, so I'll probably have to get that on there. I need to figure out how to make a backup of this too. But forget all that. We're going to do the right thing and slap this Token Ring network card in here and see if we can get this thing on a Token Ring network. That's one of my retro home lab goals for this thing, in fact, is to turn it into a bridge between Token Ring stations and an Ethernet network and get the ring stations on the internet. And the first step, we'll see if we can get this thing on a ring. We're going to try slapping this 3Com Token Link Velocity XL PCI card in. I am not particularly fond of this PCI card. On Windows 95, it has a tendency to freeze up the whole machine when it's trying to enter a ring. And if it never enters a ring, every, I don't know, 20, 30 seconds, it freezes your machine for like 8 seconds. So that's nice. But it works. We'll get this thing on a ring as an experiment. We can always swap it out later. The main driver, though, is I just happen to have the driver disk. It's complete in box, so I've got everything on hand that I need. And theoretically, this thing claims that it supports Windows NT. But will it support this ridiculous Compaq? Or I should say, will the Compaq support it? These are also, I think, PCI X slots, which might be backwards compatible, forwards compatible, whatever you want to call it, with this PCI card. So we'll see. We'll try it in slot 1 and see what the machine does. I don't know. Am I supposed to run Smart Start and do that little config thing? Let's just boot into NT, see what happens. And if this doesn't work at all, let me tell you, at this point, I don't care. We'll do something else. We'll get this in the rack or something. Deal with this Token Ring stuff another day. I want to catch the boot process early on camera here for you, just in case that card spits some stuff out. It didn't, so let's see what Windows NT thinks about it. I can still attempt to boot Windows NT. I'm calling that a win with this machine. Or if this NT detect thing does it. Well, we made it this far. How many people have a nostalgia for this splash screen and this login prompt? I don't at all. But here it sits. I think this thing gets snappier every time I fire it up. Okay, does anyone know how to install hardware on Windows NT? Good news, I was reading the manual. It tells me exactly what to do. Let's do it. We will be using Disk 2, which has drivers for Windows NT. It says to go to the control panel, network, adapters. We're going to add an adapter. I suppose this makes sense. Not in this default list. No surprise there. I'm going to say have disk. Popped in disk 2. Well. There we go. Let's see how this goes. Alright, we're going to want to make sure... Well, I was thinking I'd have to choose like a IRQ slot for it, but let's just see what it does. To get this to work at all, though, I am going to have to Set the ring detection at 4. I'm going to make this the first thing in the ring. I have a lot of Token Ring videos. If you want to learn about that, I'll explain a little more when I hook it up. It's asking me for an IPX network. I need to set an adapter to a unique number. Oh my god, I don't know how to do IPX networking. We will cover that in the future. Don't forget to subscribe. Look at this. So I can choose, I can specify an IP address. Restart. Ooh, look at this. Fancy 3Com stuff provided by the drivers. Okay, I've dug up some Token Ring gear. Well, let me back up. Token Ring was a competitor to Ethernet back in the day, in the 80s, and it uses these awesome cables that you see here. And this is called a MAU, a Media Access Unit. It's a hub. You put all your Token Ring computers on it. These are called ring stations, so this is becoming what a Token Ring network would call a ring station. And it's hooked up to this MAU. There's actually physical relays inside here that you can hear click and clack as a station enters and exits the ring. We might not be able to hear those with this guy running, but we want to see this light go green. That means it's in the ring and everything's functioning. I haven't restarted since I installed the drivers. It was, of course, asking for a restart. I just shut the computer down. We're going to power it up now, see what happens. So I was about to like throw this thing across the room, which would have been quite the feat. It's very heavy. I think it's just trying to boot from my Token Ring driver disk. Forgot to take that out. Yeah, we're cool. We're cool. Will we get some ring action though? I just logged on. I don't like that. Well, I tried a couple different cables and everything, and it doesn't seem to want to even attempt to enter the ring. It bound to an IP address just fine, though that shouldn't actually matter for ring activity. And if I go over to adapters, I can look at its properties. It happens to be at interrupt 24. Maybe that's an issue for some reason. Turned off all the bindings to the Ethernet NIC that was acting up, and I just have TCP IP left on this guy. So I'm not sure what's going on. The 3Com drivers are here. They've got this dynamic access class of service thing, which I haven't looked into. An additional range thing I don't understand. And that's about it. Some advanced options I cannot change. But otherwise, as far as I can tell, this thing seems healthy. I guess, I don't know what automatic startup is. Maybe we should do boot, start at boot. See what that does. Can I just force start it? Oh, there we go. That device wasn't started and it's complaining about not functioning. Almost positive it's going to tell me nothing useful. A device attached to the system is not functioning. Okay. Smart start time. Smart start is loaded up here and it's got this system configuration utility, which kind of goes off. It's kind of like the BIOS, and it goes off and finds hardware. And that could be our issue. I don't really understand the connection between what Compaq is doing on this thing and how Windows can access hardware, but we'll see. So there we go. It knows there is a PCI Token Ring controller in there. I suppose it's possible that was stopping the card from booting up fully. I really don't know. Got a new one. Kernel mode exception not handled in NTOS kernel.exe. Okay. It just keeps blue screening. So right after I choose NT, it'll give me an option to press space to invoke like this last known good hardware profile thing. I think I'm going to have to do that. So it's checking hardware. Yeah. So original configurations. Let's see where that gets us. Will we blue screen? Man, pretty sure just corrupted my install. I'm pulling this card out. No difference. I'm pretty sure Smart Start did something to my disk that this thing doesn't like. I think this is a stack is what I'm looking at. And I'm seeing the Compaq array driver and disk drivers in here. Interesting. Now that the PCI card is out, pulled it out obviously, let's run Smart Start again to get it to remove it from its config. I really don't think that's going to matter. I'm going to run that again, and it's going to notice that the card's gone. The problem is I'm pretty sure it's writing stuff to the disk somewhere and causing me headaches with my Windows NT install. That's my theory anyway. Yeah, so it knows it's gone. That's fine. Save the configuration and exit. Yeah, that of course had no effect. I don't think anyone's surprised. I will be reporting this to my system administrator. So what have we learned? Well, I'm thinking This machine is not a good candidate for NT 4.0. Technically, we did get it installed. I do know how to install it on this machine now, which is really nice. And it was actually feeling pretty stable and snappy until I put a PCI card in the thing. Now there could be a lot of reasons this was so hard to do, and I corrupted it with a PCI card. The Compaq Smart Start stuff is just kind of weird. Windows NT Service Pack 1, kind of weird. The hardware is getting old. There's a bunch of different agreed upon ways to install Windows NT, each of which has a slightly different variant. You see, I couldn't get any luck until I put the boot discs in. Off the CD didn't work. I think with a lot more trial and error, I could probably get it working yet again. But I think just the oddities of this machine make it much more suitable for a slightly more modern Windows 2000. So I think that is what I'm going to put on this in the future. And I'll find a different machine, probably just some Pentium 2 or something, some desktop, to run as an NT 4.0 server in the future. More commodity, easier to install, I think. I'm a little burnt out on this guy. I don't think you'll see it again for a while, but I've learned an absolute ton about this machine in particular, Windows NT. I don't think I learned anything about installing a token ring card on a Compaq DL-380. Maybe I will someday. Hopefully the successful install of Windows NT 4.0 on this thing gave you some solace after the last video where it took me forever to get nowhere. I, of course, promptly corrupted the install. That's probably also fixable, you know, with enough time and effort. I'd rather get a stable OS on this thing so I can mess around with more token ring stuff and kind of Windows Server stuff. I'd like to get a more sophisticated Windows-based network going, and I think Windows 2000 probably arguably is the better option anyway, because then I can play with Active Directory and all the slightly more modern stuff. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I'll have some more exciting videos coming in the future. And if you'd really like to support the channel, the best thing you can do is subscribe. I hope I see you in the next video.